In June of 2011, the insurance sector in Zimbabwe woke up to the shocking news of the passing on of a vibrant, energetic, intelligent, and young woman who had passed on at the hands of her husband of 9 months. Her name was Tendayi, and it is said that her husband, Daniel, had actually killed her. It was really a shocker. It was something that the industry never expected, but yeah, it did happen. Tendayi was killed by her husband of 9 months, Daniel. Hello guys, welcome to yet another edition of Real Crimes with me. It's been a minute. I know I haven't been able to record for a whole week, I suppose, but yeah, things have been happening. Yeah, I've been busy. Sorry about that. But yeah, I'm back. And today I'm going to talk about a story that is very close to my heart because I actually knew the victim on a personal level. I didn't know a lot about the accused, or the perpetrator rather. I didn't know much about him because yeah, I didn't know much about him, but I knew the victim on a personal level because she was actually my colleague. I worked with her. So in June of 2021, oh my God, how do I even start this? Yeah, it's actually a very emotional story and it's a very painful story because I knew the victim. Maybe let's go back to who the victim was. The victim was Tendayi Ganya. Tendayi Ganya was a young girl, a young woman who graduated from the National University of Science and Technology in Bulawayo, what we all know as NUST. So after she graduated from that, she actually grew up in Gweru, in Mukoba, and then she went to the National University of Science and Technology, NUST. And then after graduating, you know how Zimbabwe can be sometimes when it comes to finding a job. So she took quite a bit of time before she could secure a job, but eventually she did. And Tendayi was described as a person who really loved God. Well, I worked with her. I can safely say she was actually somebody who really loved God and who was very strong-headed. She was really intelligent and she paid attention to detail. Tendayi was very meticulous when it comes to her work. She paid attention to detail. She was really good. She was an underwriter in an insurance company that I worked for. I'm not going to disclose names of companies or names of places, names of bosses, no. But all I can tell you is that it was an insurance company in Harare. And yeah, she got a job there as an underwriter and she really was a good person. Like, she was a very good person. So after she joined the insurance company, one day she saw my daughter. My daughter was still in kindergarten then, and she saw my daughter who was coming from her preschool, and she had been dropped off at the company where I was working because my daughter was going to school in Eastleigh and we were in the CBD. So her school transport would drop her off at my workplace and then I would go home with her after work. So one day she just saw my daughter and she just fell in love with her. And she said to me, you know what? I love your daughter. I love her personality. She's so full of life. Can I request for a favor? Then I said, oh, sure. What is it? She says, my wedding is coming up shortly. Please allow her to be my mini bride. Yeah. So anyway, I agreed to that because my daughter loves dancing. So I decided, okay, fine. Let her be part of your bridal team. Let her be the mini bride. And then she found her a mini groom. Yeah. So yeah, the wedding day came and it was a beautiful, beautiful event. And it was beautiful. It was simple. It was very beautiful, very simple. It was done at, if I'm not mistaken, it must be Jameson Hotel. I think that's where the wedding was. I don't remember. Mother of bride who doesn't even remember where her own daughter's wedding took place. Who does that? But anyway, that's the truth. I think it was at Jameson Hotel. I think it was in one of the halls in Jameson Hotel. It was a beautiful event. Very few people, but very beautiful, very classy. We had a lot of fun at the wedding. There was a lot of dancing. And you could see the chemistry between Tendayi and Daniel. Like, it wasn't a forcing thing. It was like so natural. They gelled so nicely together. It was a beautiful couple. So anyway, after they got married, they went for their honeymoon and they came back, and Tendayi came back to work. Everybody was excited on her behalf, like she's starting a new journey and yeah. But this is something that was happening that we never really thought about. Her husband would be waiting for her downstairs at 1 o'clock every day to take her out for lunch. And we all thought, wow, beautiful. Oh my God, this is so nice. She's an amazing husband. Of course, love is in the air. This is a young couple. They just got married, you know. They don't want to miss each other. So he would literally drop her off in the morning, come take her for lunch and pick her up after work. Like 4:30, he is downstairs waiting for her to take her home. So we were all like, wow, every woman needs a Daniel in her life. Every woman needs a Daniel. Like, we all looked at it like, this is great, this is love. But it only came out later, after she had passed on, that no, actually, it wasn't love. It was something else. Anyway, so one day, life is going on and everything is fine. These guys got married, I think, in October of 2010. Then June of 2011, one day in the morning, like it's super early in the morning, it's like 7:30 or so, I was sitting by the reception and then a phone came through. And I just picked it up because the receptionist was not there. So I picked the call, and that was before like people had even walked into, like many people had not come to work yet. People were still coming in. So I was just working on something by the reception, and then I picked the call. And the man on the other end of the line said to me, I understand there was an accident yesterday, and somebody died in the accident. Do you have any details? And the first thing that came to my mind was, okay, there was an accident. This man wants to lodge a claim for his vehicle. I don't know. That's the thing that came into my mind. So I said to him, okay, hold on, let me transfer you to the relevant department. So I transferred him to the claims manager because I'm thinking he wants to make a claim. My damn mind. I never thought somebody died. Do I know details? No. The thing that came to my mind was claims. So I transferred the call to the claims manager and I went on about my business. The next thing, the claims manager is coming to me and says to me, who was that on the phone? I'm like, I don't know. Maybe a client who wants to claim. That's why I actually transferred the call to you. And then he said, no. That man said Tendayi died yesterday. And I'm like, which Tendayi? And then he says Tendayi Ganya. I'm like, which Tendayi Ganya? Our Tendayi Ganya? And then he said, yeah. He said that man had told him that Tendayi Ganya had been killed by her husband the previous day. Like, make it make sense. Nothing is making sense at this point. I'm like, what are you even talking about? Is this some kind of a sick joke or something? So the next thing that came to my mind was call Tendayi. I picked the phone. I'm trying to call Tendayi. Tendayi's phone is not going through. And I'm like, oh, Tendayi's phone is not going through. Do we have her husband's number somewhere? And the next thing he was telling me is, actually, her husband is in custody as we speak. What are you guys even talking about? And Tendayi's body is in a mortuary as we speak. Like, what? So many things in such a short space of time. What is going on? Anyway, like when people were walking in and being told this thing, actually some of our colleagues got to know the news before they even got to the office because the news had sifted through the insurance industry. I was working for an insurance company. So the insurance industry in Zim by that time wasn't so big. It was like everybody knew everybody. Why? Because of the games that we done annually, what they used to call the, what was the name of those games? I don't know, where the insurance industries would get together for some games, for a weekend, a sporting weekend. So people knew people. People in the insurance industry knew each other like that. And you know, like when you move from one insurance company to another, you are still in the same sector. You probably maintain your friends and you probably add new friends. So people knew people. And people that went to the university with Tendayi had also joined the industry. So people knew people. It was like that. It was a close-knit family. So the news had already sifted through the insurance industry that Tendayi had passed on. So people would walk in and say, guys, what happened to Tendayi? Like, what do you know? So yeah, when the news really did sift through that this is what had happened, Tendayi's parents, I don't think they were her parents. Her parents should have been in Gweru. Her mom, yeah, her parents were in Gweru, I think. So it was her brother and probably his wife. They came through to the offices, and the company organized a vehicle and a driver to take them to Bindura, where her body was, to Bindura, where Daniel was in custody, to go and try and understand what took place. So after the driver came back, his report was this. Tendayi and her husband were going to Bindura, to the mountain. I don't know, you guys, if you know, there's a mountain in Bindura where people go to pray. Yeah, so it is said, this is the husband's version. Now Tendayi is not there to say yes, no, true, false. It's only the husband. So according to the driver, Daniel explained that they were going to Bindura for prayers. Mind you, Tendayi's boss had received a text on the day that Tendayi died from Tendayi's phone saying that she couldn't come to work because her husband was unwell. She was taking him to the doctor. But that was the day that Tendayi died. So it is said that according to Daniel, they were driving to Bindura for prayers. While they were going there, their vehicle ran out of fuel. Now, we don't know if it ran out of fuel, or if it was that he thought it ran out of fuel, or if he decided it was out of fuel. So yeah, it is said to have been out of fuel, and Tendayi was not happy. And Tendayi was saying, why did you drive this far? Like, now they're in a bushy area. Why did you have to come this far without checking your fuel? Now look at us. We are stuck in the bush. Nobody will give us a ride, because you know how things... Sorry about that. My throat ran dry and yeah, excuse me. So it is said that Tendayi was not happy with the fact that the car ran out of fuel. And she started asking her husband, like, how irresponsible can one be? You knew we were coming this far. You surely knew how much fuel we needed, and you surely know how to check the fuel gauge to see if we have enough fuel to get to where we are going. Now look at us. We're stuck in the bush, and nobody will stop for us, because you know, at that point it wasn't even safe for anybody to offer somebody else a ride, because you don't know what people are planning. It could be a trick just to take your car away. So now it is said that Tendayi was really angry, and she said some nasty stuff to the men. So according to the men, she said, 1, I should have never married you. You are a poor man. I could have done better. 2, according to the men, she said, you are not the one who took away my virginity. There's nothing special about you. Thirdly, according to the men, Tendayi decided she was going to walk back to Harare. So she got out of the car and she started walking. Okay, so he tried to drag her back into the car and try to find a way of maybe leaving her to wash the car while he goes to get the fuel. So he said the next thing, she was gone. She vanished. So he was walking around up and down, up and down. asking people if they had seen a woman dressed like this. So according to one witness called Chinyani said that when he was actually with his friend, and they met Daniel, and Daniel said, guys, I had an argument with my wife, now I can't find her, I think something could have happened to her, please help me to find her. And Chinyani advised Daniel that, you know what, there is a police station just up the road. Just keep walking, go to the police station, make a police report. They'll come and help you to search. After Daniel had left, had gone to the police station, it is said that Chinyani became suspicious that, but how can a woman just disappear? And this man looks like he has been in some kind of a battle. His shirt was not properly buttoned on, his clothes were not properly, he was not properly dressed. So they thought something would have happened to this woman. Let's just look around. So they looked around, and then they saw a little path going up the hill. So they followed the little path, and they found a woman's body. It is said that they found a woman's body, and this woman had died, and her face had been stoned, so it had and also there was a belt around her neck. So now maybe Daniel was trying to stage a suicide, but there was a belt tied around her neck. A belt from her dress or from her blouse was tied around her neck. It was so deep that even they couldn't cut it off. They had to take her body to the morgue like that. So when these two guys saw that, okay, this is it, they decided probably this man killed his wife. So they quickly dashed to the police station. One of them is said to have been riding a bicycle, dashed to the police station and said, there is a man who's coming to report his wife missing, but we just found a dead woman in the hill, and we suspect that could be the woman he is reporting missing, and we also suspect that he could have killed her. So by the time Daniel came to the police station and made his report, he was arrested. And he was taken to the site for indications, and he did the indications. Tendai's body was collected and put in a morgue. Just like that. These guys had been married for close to 9 months. Right. Now, Tendai, we have the news. We have the picture of what actually transpired. But you know, when you hear such things, you are trying to make sense out of it. Like, what would have been so terrible that he had to kill her? What could she have said that was so bad that he had to kill her? And now people started talking that his whole trip to Bindura, he was reporting to someone. He knew exactly what was going on, and he knew the spot where he was supposed to go and kill her. Apparently, he's also from Bindura. He knew the time that he was supposed to kill her, and he knew where he was supposed to do it. And the car was not out of fuel because it was driven off the site. It was not out of fuel. I don't know. Anyway, so the next thing that happened was, you know how it's like when somebody is married and they pass on, we expect the husband's family to come to the wife's family to officially tell them the news. Kuzoriza Mary. That's our culture. But anyway, Daniel's family did not do that. Rather, what Daniel's family did was to get a lawyer to get him out on bail. That was one. Two, the insurance company that I worked for also had a funeral assurance component. So all our funeral policies were also covered in that funeral assurance company. So if anybody in the company passed on, if our family members passed on, our company did the funeral. Okay, so the next thing we also got was a message from the husband's family telling the people from the funeral company to wait to get the body ready for burial. And they said they had found they were going to bury her at Mbudzi. So they asked them to get the body ready for burial. The body had been collected by our funeral company, and it was in the morgue in our funeral company, and the undertakers and the morticians had actually prepared the body. So now one of the morticians had to call Tendayi's family to ask for clean clothes. So when he called and asked for clean clothes, they were shocked, like, what clean clothes do you want? For what? And he told them that, you know, I got the instruction that I must prepare the body for burial. She's going to be buried tomorrow at Mbudzi. So I have to prepare the body, so I need clean clothes. And the family was shocked. Who gave you those instructions? And he said that he got the instructions from her husband's family. That's when Tendayi's family decided that, okay, these guys didn't want to be part of, they didn't want to come and do the proper thing, the customary way where you come and actually say, okay, this is what has happened, they decided they were not going to do that. So Tendayi's family decided they were going to take over their child's funeral and bury her at home in Gweru. So they decided they were not going to include her husband's family, because the husband's family wanted to bury her without even officially informing her own family. Their major task was to get Daniel out on bail. But anyway, Tendayi's parents came to Harare, and they did what they needed to do to get her body ready for her to be buried at home in Gweru. So we went to Gweru for Tendayi's funeral, and the stories that were being said in Mukoba were like scary. People spoke of things like when Daniel came to get married, when they came to do the traditional marriage, Daniel was paying everything in double. Ndiro $50, he pays $100. Vramromo $2, he pays $4. I don't know how true that is, but people in I don't know if it's true or if it was just people making up these stories. But yeah, even the way this guy married. Oh, by the way, these guys had only dated for 6 months and they got married. And her sisters said they told her not to get married. They had told her that you need to get to know this guy better. But she had said she knew him. He was a God-fearing person, and they were both training to be pastors. So nothing could go wrong. Also, things that started coming out at the funeral. You know, people talk, guys, talk. Things like the whole time that Daniel would wait for Tendayi outside for lunch, wait for her at 4:30 to take her home, it was because he didn't want her talking to anyone, even at church. They would go to church after the service. He would literally just pull her into the car and they would drive off. She was not allowed to have friends. She was not allowed to talk to anybody. He had totally isolated her from anyone that cared about her. And also, her mom said that there was a day that Daniel called her, Tendayi's mom, and said that, I don't know where Tendayi is. I can't find her. It was at night. And Tendayi's mom said, she asked Daniel, wasn't it you who threw her clothes out in the morning? So why are you now looking for her? Tendayi had actually gone back to her family home in Mufakose, where her brothers were staying. So she had left her matrimonial home and gone to Mfakosi because Daniel had threw her clothes out. They had an argument and Daniel threw her clothes out. She picked up her clothes and she went to her brother's house. But she continued coming to work as if nothing was wrong. Like, you couldn't tell that this girl is going through stuff. You could not. She was always okay. She was always okay, you know. You could not tell that she was going through all that. All these things started to come out after she had passed on. And the most shocking thing that I got to hear at the funeral was that Tendayi was pregnant. Now, we don't know how far true it is, but it is said that when we got to her home in Gweru with the body, the undertaker was asked by the father, Tendayi's father, if he had taken out the baby out of her belly. And the undertaker said he did not do it because he didn't know anything. But yeah, it is said that Tendayi had told her family that she was pregnant. So she was buried with her baby inside her womb. So eventually, it is said that when we went to her home in Gweru, the funeral was literally carried by the company. First, as a funeral assurance company, and secondly, the insurance part had to do it for a colleague, for a worker, for an employee. So yeah, things were in order. The company really tried to contribute towards her funeral. So things were in order, but it is said that the husband's family came, actually, some representatives came, and they just went to stay at a neighbor's house. They could not come to Tendayi's house. They went to stay at a neighbor's house. And while they were at the neighbor's house, it is said that one, you know, muzukuru mukuru wemumuri, muzukuru vanoteererwa. So one of muzukurus from the husband's side actually set them down and told them that we are all going to perish. Into inonzi ngozi yamaunza mumusha. And you are not helping matters by being stubborn, by not contributing, by trying to concentrate on your own son that is alive. Yes, he is in custody, but he's alive. These ones have lost a whole daughter. And by the way, Tendayi was like the educated one of the family, you know, that educated aunt. That was Tendayi. And she was doing her best to like change her parents' home, change the furniture, you know, clean up the house, you know, just to help her parents to live a more comfortable life. So she was like their sweetheart. But anyway, it is said that one Muzukuru spoke to them and said, guys, you are going to have the whole family perish because you are not doing right by this woman. You need to go to her family and talk to them properly, bury her. After that, have a meeting with them, find a way of what do they call it again? Kuripangos. Because so anyway, eventually they came through on the day of her burial. Guys, I am going to be very, very, very honest. When we did the body viewing, I was so convinced that they got the wrong body. And even her own brother said when he went to identify the body, he could not identify her. He only recognized her by the scar that she had on one of her legs or something. They could not recognize her by looking at the face. When we did the body viewing, I was convinced they got the wrong body. Tendayi was swollen. Tendayi was dark. It was just a painful thing to look at. And that was because it is said that he hit her with stones, like stone in her head. She was so swollen. And I remember the undertaker saying, you know what? This girl is angry. The undertaker was like, he was an elderly man who had been in the industry for a long time, and so he knew things. And he said, you know, this girl is really angry. Yes, she's swollen, but this is worse than what she was yesterday. So explain to me, medical people, does somebody continue swelling after they've died? Or was she about to burst or something? I don't know. So according to that man, Tendayi was really angry and her body was all swollen and everything. When I saw the swelling, like I said, I thought they got the wrong body. I thought they got the wrong person. You couldn't recognize her. If you knew her while she was still alive, you could not comprehend this person was in this coffin. You could not tell how this person could be the Tendayi that we knew. Tendayi was buried in Mkoba. After she was it Mkoba or Mambo? I'm not sure. I think Mambo. After she was buried, we went back to our lives, and yeah, things at the office were a bit tense. Like, honestly, things were really tense. Like, it was just disturbing. Everybody was just tense. Like, fuses were just going off. People were really sad. So we constantly got a reminder, because other companies would bring in flowers, other companies would bring in cards, they would bring in goodies to take to her family. So it was like almost on a weekly basis, the driver had to drive to her family home to send them those things that they were getting from other companies, other insurance companies. Like, people just sending in their condolences, because she was that great person. Tendayi was a great person. She really was. But anyway, so after Tendayi had been buried, Daniel managed to get bail. Yeah, he was released on bail, and one day Daniel showed up at the office. So Daniel came through with Tendayi's brother, and why was he at the offices? Because he was the surviving spouse, so he had come to claim the monies. Yeah, he was the surviving spouse. So he was walking around with the brother, Tendayi's brother, to process all these monies and everything, so that the money could be released and handed over to her family. That's what I was made to understand, that the agreement was that if they release the money, he is going to sign for the release. He's going to sign for all her money, but the money would go to her brother's account, not his account. He wasn't going to get a cent. And that's what I understand the arrangement was with the company and with the lawyers. So, you know, it actually broke my heart to see Tendayi's brother working with Tendayi's murderer just because of money. It actually broke my heart. I was like, okay, fine. This is not right. There has to be another way of doing it. But anyway, yeah, it was done and the money was released. And I didn't follow the case because I was just saddened by the whole thing, and I just felt like Daniel should have never gotten bail to start with. He should have just stayed in custody until, you know, he was sentenced. But yeah, we're not the lawyers, we're not the law, you know. He got his bail and he was out until sometime in July of 2012. That's when he was convicted on the murder of Tendayi, and he was sentenced to 16 years in prison. That was 2012. I don't know if the courts reduced anything, if the prison reduced anything for him, but yeah, he got 16 years for the murder of Tendayi, his wife that he had only been married to for 8 to 9 months. And up to now, I still have questions like, what did she do that was so bad that she had to kill her? What had she done? Yeah, but anyway, he got to pay for his crime. I want to believe he's probably still in custody, or maybe he already finished his sentence. I don't know. But yeah, that was the story about Tendayi Ganya. And like I said, Tendayi Ganya was a colleague and I knew her personally. She was a great person. May her soul continue to rest in peace. And Daniel, wherever you are, I hope you can live with yourself. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I am sorry, I didn't mean to get emotional, but yeah, like I said, this is a story that's actually close to my heart, and because I knew the victim on a personal level. Thank you so much for watching. Do what you need to do to take care of yourselves and stay safe. Stay away from crime, because if you do crime, you are most likely to do the time. Until I see you guys again, be blessed.